I found out what is the worst national team from each continent. So in this video, we'll see what is the weakest country in the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and even Oceania. While Argentina and France are at the top, there are countries at the bottom of the football iceberg that most people have never even heard of. So let's start with the first continent, South America. And here we find a team that is strong compared to others we'll see later. Bolivia. Bolivia is the worst national team in South America, and that was proof when in the last edition of the Copa America, they literally lost all matches. They were in the same group as Argentina and lost all 4 matches, scoring only 2 and conceding 8. Bolivia is much worse than Venezuela. They even lost 4-1 of them, currently sitting in the 85th position of the FIFA ranking. So now let's move on to one of the largest continents of the earth, Africa. After Africa, we'll see what is the worst national team in Asia, Oceania, Central America, North America, and finally Europe. As the video progresses, the national teams get even worse, with the most horrible at the end. And in Africa, there are strong teams, like Salah's Egypt, Morocco, Mane's Senegal, and many others. But there are also really bad teams, with the worst being from a country so small, most people don't even know exists. This is an African country made up a lot of islands with an area 3 times smaller than Greater London. And believe it or not, they have a national team recognized by FIFA. But even though the country is beautiful, their football isn't. In the qualifiers for the 2022 World Cup, this country lost in the first round to Rwanda by 10-0 on aggregate. Believe me, against Rwanda. This is the Seychelles national team. And for the 2026 Cup, it really seems they don't have much of a chance. In their first 2 qualifying matches, conceded 14 goals. Yes, they lost 9-0 to Ivory Coast and 5-0 to Kenya. 2 matches, 14 goals conceded. Dude, in their last 10 matches, taking into account all tournaments, Seychelles scored 3 goals and conceded 27. So they are the worst team in Africa and ranking 199th in the world. But there will be much worse teams in this video. Teams that haven't won in years and are even under Seychelles in international ranking. So now let's go to our third continent, and the largest of all, Asia. Asia really fascinates me. It goes from the deserts of Saudi Arabia to the populous cities of India and countries like Japan and Korea. And there are countries that play well, like Japan that defeated Germany and Spain in the last World Cup. But the worst Asian team is from a country with 22 million people. But even with over 20 million people, can't find 11 who play well. Check this out, in the qualifiers for the Asian Cup, not the World Cup, just a continental one, they won 1 match and lost 9. They played in 2 groups, one of them conceding 23 goals in 6 games, and in the other conceding 6 goals in 3 games. And the only match they won wasn't even on their merit. It was against Macau, when they got a 3-0 awarded cause Macau simply didn't show up. This country is called Sri Lanka. And to show you how much Sri Lanka's football suffers, their last victory in a normal match was against Nepal in December 2015. Since then played 30 games, scored 14 goals and conceded 73. And none of these matches were against giant teams, only against other Asian countries like Uzbekistan and Thailand, even losing 8-0 South Korea. And in the FIFA ranking, they are in the 204th position. It may seem impossible to have a worse team, but believe it or not, there is. We'll see in this video other 4 continents, with 3 having a team even worse than Sri Lanka. And before we go to Central America, North America and Europe, let's now move to the smallest continent, Oceania. While Australia is the best from Oceania, the worst is not what you may imagine. If you thought Sri Lanka was bad, wait until you see them. This is the national team of the United States overseas territory. And even being just a territory not fully independent, they are recognized by FIFA. Their nickname is Matao, which means the nobleman. And although they are officially in Oceania, they are affiliated to the Asian Football Confederation. Since Asia is closer than the other Oceania countries, they play for the AFC. But geographically, they are from Oceania. And this is Guam. Dude, Guam's national team is so bad that in the last 10 matches only scored 4 goals and conceded, guess how many? 33. Even China, which is not that strong, managed to beat them 7-0 twice. Look at the size of their stadium, really tiny. But it was in 2005 that Guam surprised everyone, making one of the worst performances in football history. That happened when they went to compete in a tournament called East Asian Football Championship and were placed in a group with teams like North Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan and Mongolia. It wasn't like high-level football, right? But in these 4 games, the result was simply unbelievable. They lost 4-1 to Mongolia, 9-0 to Taiwan, 15-0 against Hong Kong, and when faced North Korea, it was 21-0. Yes, 21-0, almost one goal every 5 minutes. How is that even possible? So in 4 matches, they scored 1 and conceded 49 goals. What a craziness. And since then, haven't improved much, sitting at a 205th position in the FIFA ranking. So now let's travel to the other side of the globe. And since we've already talked about South America, let's see what is the worst team in Central America. Central America is a region that acts as a bridge between South and North America, and we go to another overseas territory, but this time a British one. And it's a territory you may have never heard of. I'd be surprised if you had. They are in the Caribbean with a population of only 15,000 people. Man, just one London borough has a population over 10 times larger. But even though it's small, their football association is affiliated to FIFA. And if you thought Guam was bad, well, this country surpasses it. In a place of 15,000 people, you can't expect much, but even against other neighboring islands they suffer heavy defeats. In the last year they played against Saint Martin and Bonaire, 2 small islands, and the result was catastrophic. In the 2 matches against Bonaire, they lost 5-0 on aggregate, and against Saint Martin lost 6-0 at home and 8-0 away. 14-0 on aggregate. And this horrible team is called Anguilla. To give you an idea, these national teams that defeated Anguilla are not even affiliated to FIFA. And in the World Cup qualifiers, Anguilla even lost 13-0 to Panama. Their investment in football is so low that that's how their main stadium looks like. So besides being the worst team in Central America, they are the 2nd worst in the world, ranking 209th. At least they already won some official matches. The worst team that will appear at the end of the video broke the record for never winning any official matches in their existence. So now let's go up on the map and talk about North America. And among the United States, Mexico and Canada, the worst ranked is Canada, 48th. But wait a minute, if we zoom in, we'll see that there is a very small island 1,000 kilometers off the coast of the United States. This is a British overseas territory in North America, and believe it or not, it has its own national team. It's a place where many millionaires live and has a GDP per capita much higher than the United States. 63,000 people live there, and their team competes in a CONCACAF competitions, Bermuda. Throughout history, Bermuda only managed to qualify for the Gold Cup once in 2019 and were eliminated in the group stage. Their players don't really play for big clubs. The current striker with the most caps is a guy called Reggie Lamb, who plays for Braintree Town in English 6th Division. At least their captain, Naki Wells, plays for Bristol City in the Championship. Some of their players even play only for small Bermudian teams. So Bermuda ranks 171st in the world. Now let's go to the worst national team ever. And they play in a continent with the biggest competitions and the best players, Europe. This is a team so bad that in all its 204 games in history won only once. And in order to get to this country, we gotta enter Italy and go to a small piece of land called the Republic of San Marino. You'll be impressed by their numbers. San Marino is a country surrounded by Italy, and even though they play in the strongest continent in football, most have normal jobs and only play for small teams in the San Marino League. So since San Marino joined the UEFA, they've broken negative records. They've played 8 World Cup qualifiers and 9 Euro qualifiers, but in all these years, haven't won a single match. San Marino lost all matches, literally only defeats with no wins and no draws in the World Cup qualifiers for 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018 and 2022. The last World Cup qualifying match they didn't lose was a draw against Latvia in 2001. In 34 years competing, San Marino had 1 victory, 9 draws and 194 losses. That's simply unbelievable. Their single victory was against Liechtenstein in a friendly in 2004, so they're in the last place in the FIFA ranking, 210. They really don't have any chances on competing in the World Cup, and perhaps you may not even know, but there are 8 different World Cups organized by FIFA. So in this video I show who is the current champion of each World Cup, futsal, under 20, under 17 and much more. Thanks for watching and I will see you there.